away from this topic, but it will be one of the topics. I mean, around the topics that I will be discussing, that we will be discussing, of course, with Dr. Mo. But let me pick your brain in the meantime, Tudor. Yesterday we witnessed it, and we saw all of the abysmal and the Awamari deal of regains that went on. But particularly and worthy of note is the participation of the ADC that I love to call the Big Tent and the prospective alternative for Nigerians going into 2027 election. How would you gauge their performance? I've given you my assessment. How would you gauge them, Tudo?
All right, thank you, Pivot. I think it's a no-brainer at this point to any lay observer, anyone who is just, you don't have to be a political animal. All you have to do is just pay just a little attention to what's going on in the political space, and you can understand that if I am going to be gracious, say that that was not a good outing. That wasn't a good outing. So this is where we do the post-mortem and we analyze after what has happened, because we were looking forward to a strong showing. There was all kinds of conversation that went down with regards to what we're expecting to see from the coalition or from the party ADC, you know. And we had some of the leaders even show up on the campaign trail with some of the candidates, primarily Dr. Mo. And so there was this expectation that, okay, let's see what's going to happen. But what we got, it was disappointing. There's no other way to say it. It was really, really disappointing. And so if you ask me for my assessment, it is just that ADC has not shown that if we're going to project towards 2027, ADC has not shown that they're ready. That is the simplest way to put this. They have not demonstrated that they are ready to be the alternative. And part of that means you have to challenge the status quo. You have to take, for the lack of a better word, you have to take the fight to the establishment for those who have hijacked the levels of power in our country. And look at some of the, for instance, some of the rhetoric that we got, the saber rattling from APC people, from their chieftains, even from Minister Wike himself, FCT minister, talking about, you go ahead and vote on Saturday, do your part, and leave the rest to me, I'll do my part. You know, the threat to life from some of the APC people, right? The curfew, and all this, so many other shenanigans they did. And what did we get from ADC? We got tweets, right? I went on the publicity secretary himself, the spokesperson himself, but and all that was with the ADC condemned this. ADC, the ADC stands against this. And we have to begin to show people we're really with them, right? And number two, there are so many polling units that do not have ADC polling units. Right? It doesn't, I mean, to the ordinary observer, it doesn't make any sense. 1,400 polling units. And as at the last count, I was hearing, as yesterday, I think the number went up, but I was hearing we had over 300 that did not have polling units. Like, that is embarrassing. That is just, there's no to say, right? What do we expect to happen? That Nigerians would be so upset that they would just manufacture this outrage and it will turn out at the poll, right? That is not yes, I was just shocked. That's not that.
Your mic is muffling though, but I got you back now.
Okay, so
Are you there?
let me
All
toss it
right.
back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Let me toss it back to you, and then let me come back real quick.
All right then. All right then. Well said. Yeah, and good assessment of the show. One would not need, an analyst or a commentator to be able to tell how the outing went down for the ADC yesterday. For me, if I would dare to add, I'll say there were some semblance of deliberate disengagement from the activity yesterday by some members of the African Democratic Congress, the party in the opposition. All right. Right. Same question, Tony. Don't forget, guys, please. We're still let me add formally now. Formally welcome to this conversation because we have Dr. Sam Amadi with us right in the space, and momentarily, as I mean, he would be joined by Dr. Mo, but right now, let's continue. Let's go on in this conversation. All right, sir, we're still waiting for you to join us up here. We're still waiting. Sorry, a moment, please. All right. Okay, we are still waiting for Dr. Simon Madi to join us on the speaker section. But right now, Tudor, I think I'm excited to be engaging Doctor this evening. What about you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I am very, very excited. I'm glad that he's here with us, and I'm looking forward to having that robust conversation. So many questions.
You know why I'm
Yeah.
excited, Tudor? I'm excited, especially at this time where we are at a crossroad. I would put it like that, as a people who are looking for answers. And, we've been trying to get these answers, and the more we try, the more tangled you get. So, at this point, I think at this juncture, we would need some high Q that, see further than we do. The elders will say, there's a proverb that says, what the elder sees sitting, even when the child climbs the tallest of the trees, even if it is the palm tree, he will still not see what the elders is seeing. So we would love to see, hear and, pick from what Dr. Sam Amadi, is seeing far from us this evening. So that's why I am just so um, interested in having to hear him tonight. Tudor, I yield back the mic to you.
Yes.
Apologies.
No, 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 no. Absolutely. I share your sentiment, bro. I am also very excited. At times like this, we need to hear from those who can give us a clear sense of direction, can give us a better understanding in terms of the landscape and everything that is going on. People have questions, and especially with our country, with what just played out yesterday. And if what played out yesterday is an indicator of what is going to happen in 2027, I think a lot of people um, think that I've seen a lot of comments, and I don't want to preempt anything, but my goodness, it is a very disheartening and discouraging situation altogether. There's no way to sugarcoat it, right? What we witnessed yesterday, and this is not because our candidate lost. Let's make that very clear. It's not about that. It's simply because the system is rigged. The system is not playing fair. Those in who hold the levels of power are using it to oppress. There are so many anecdotes with that election yesterday. I saw one where, a polling agent was saying that at some point, APC thugs came into the polling unit with police officers and they took away the beavers, they took away the Form EC8As, and then they came back with duplicates. They just handed it to them, just like that, just give it to them, right? So that is one. Then the other one that I posted, we are on the form in the polling unit, where APC clearly was underperforming, right? It was underperforming. What was the number again? The number was APC had 19, 19, right? In Buhari 19, and they changed. You will see it on the form EC8A. They changed to 238. 238. And of course, APC won Buhari. APC won all the five out of what do you call it? Joshua Ishaku is his name. He won Buhari. 5 out of 6. The sixth one was won by PDP. Gwagwalada was won by Kashim Mohammed, was won by PDP. So out of 6 area councils, APC cleared 5. And if all of these shenanigans it's to go by, it just showed exactly how they pulled it off. That's what it shows. So what we're saying is that if this is the picture that is confronting us towards 2027, my goodness, we are in trouble. That's just as not just as a political party, a coalition, or a movement, as a country. As a country, why are things like this still accepted? I'm hearing some this morning that one of our polling unit agents was killed. Host. Why are people still dying? Now, again, that's unverified. Somebody posted it, right? Imagine people that were beaten. Dr. Mo himself said that some of the polling unit agents were beaten. Like, why are these things still acceptable in 2026? These things shouldn't be happening. And to rub salt on injury, Joash Amupitan goes out and gives his verdict that the election was peaceful, that the election was
because during the campaign, we saw children learning from dilapidated building in the FCT. Anyways, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, for joining us, making our time out of no time to join us up here in this conversation, sir. We in Active Citizens Media do not take this for granted in no way at all. All right, sir. We guys, we are joined by Dr. Sam Amadi. Don't He's no stranger to us all, but for the sake of it, let's introduce our guest to us. Dr. Sam Amadi is a Nigerian lawyer, a public intellectual, and government expert. And we listen to him so much on our, I mean, almost every week on Arise at some point, Arise TV, and is chairman CEO of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and director of the Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. Yeah, I don't know if the earlier still hold, but I know that the latter is still very much active. All right, so here we are. We have Dr. Sam Amadi with us. Dr. Sam Amadi, welcome to this conversation, sir.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very much, sir. Tonight, sir, let's begin simple. Can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good, sir. Sir, let's begin with your reaction about on the elections that went down yesterday.
Well, I think the first reaction is that in Nigeria, it looks like election is always sudden. So every election is sudden, no matter how much is spent, how much time, but it's sudden because uh, nobody's prepared. Voters are not prepared. Election managers are not prepared. That's INEC. Political parties also are not prepared. So that's the first observation. Every election in Nigeria is always sudden. People behave as if they just heard about the election today. That's the nature of Nigerian elections. Again, having said that, also to say that the last election illustrates that all the issues people raise about INEC and election management, nothing has changed. And probably nothing in real sense will change. So why will nothing change? Because the things that need to be done are difficult to be done, and they are not. People are not looking at them. So take for example, we have been talking for the last week about electronic transmission and all that, and I've been telling people since 2018 or 19 after the 2030 election. I've been saying that the problem of election in Nigeria is INEC. INEC as an institutional approach to reform. Institution. Nigerians don't look at institutions. They assume that a system is just the law, or what the constitution is the law, and the man who is appointed. No, institution is a design, how things work, the culture, the professionalism, the value, the process, the check and balances, the transparency. How do you make decisions? So INEC is one of the most inefficient institutions. Let's leave corruption. Of course, almost everybody in Nigeria is corrupt. Only few people are not corrupt in Nigeria. So for you to find persons who man organizations that are defined by corruption. In Nigeria election, historically, Nigeria has always had rigged election from the colonial period to post-colonial to today. So to the caliber of person who will run these institutions and be able to defeat the corrupting tendency, the caliber is rare to find, few people. So Amotash, or whatever they call him, Amuputan, has no, in my view, does not fall into that few people. So I will take it that he cannot withstand and overcome the heavy corruption. In Nigeria, before you declare whether you position everybody, when you run election, the one of the things people start to do is to look for, do you have contact in INEC? That's the first thing they will look for. So it's now taken for granted that INEC is manipulable and will be manipulated. The second thing, or the third now, is that the bureaucracy, even small election like Abuja here, apart from INEC chairman went around looking at a few places, what is he looking for? Does he have a checklist? The managerial challenge of making sure that ruling party and even individuals who are assuming the ruling party is not the one, assuming there's no command from Villa, assuming the president even did not bother and did not ask anybody to rig election for him. The quota of officials who will take it upon themselves to rig the election, down to local party leaders, is such large. So the question is, do you have the bandwidth managerially to look at every aspect and defeat the rigging process? So when Amupitan walked around, say, visited places, what was, they have a checklist? Was he looking for the real thing? That is for INEC. So first, the managerial operation is immense, even if it's for one single state election. And the managerial bandwidth to manage each of those processes is very limited or not even existing. Nobody cares. The time the document, the ballot papers leave, who followed it in terms of government official to ensure what are the checklists, what are the forms, real time that you have to fill to dictate each process. And do you then examine those processes and make sure there are no failures of these processes before results are declared? No. So managerially, the election, the complexity is too much for the way we work as Nigerians. The third point are the political parties themselves. So yes, all through the weeks, P2B, Atiku, if people have been campaigning intensely, going from one place to place. I've been part of advising political parties. I've not been a mainstream member of a campaign organization, but I've been at the loop giving strategic advice. But I can tell you that even when parties have, opposition parties especially have their so-called solution room and strategy group, they are doing more of political rambling than strategy. They are doing more of positioning their candidates and political outcome they want in terms of party outcome, who takes over the party, who wins the primary, than actually blocking, challenging the rigging machine of the ruling party. So what you saw yesterday is typical what happens and what will happen in 2027 is that the opposition will be outplayed. The ruling party will most likely rig election. The opposition's job is in the third world country like that is to stop that rigging process, block it. But that calls for at least matching their strategy, their energy, their deployment, or even overmatching it because they are working in collusion with state agencies. You don't have any of those. So my conclusion then is it was going to happen. Elections are routinely rigged in Nigeria, across Africa. Basically nowhere in the third world in Africa that elections get up to 30, 40% fairness and freedom. Maybe Ghana, because the level of political sophistication in the negative way that we have in Nigeria, they don't have it. The level of desperation and the multiplicity of political actors, people who live on politics, who live for politics, that's their source of meal, is not the same in Ghana. So you're going to see people whose life is defined by outcomes of election, and they're going to put too much energy in the hijack of electoral, process. So Ghana has fair outcome. A few countries fair outcome. Senegal fair outcome. If you look at the social economy of those countries, if you look at the legacies, the way they're coming from, and the institutional structure, and the incentive structure, and the what's at stake, the way politics for them is defines who will be billionaire or not. They discover that Nigeria is a special. Do, so there's a pattern here. Elections are going to be rigged, except two things happen. Except you have election umpire who is not just honest but radically radical. Or maybe Jega worked because also the northern agenda fed into Jega's own agenda, and so Jega had no incentive, whatever, to support Jonathan. Maybe if it was the other way around, we will see the limit of Jega's radical. So the kind of persona who is running the election in Nigeria cannot deliver free and fair election in the mix of a history, a structure of criminal, attack on electoral credibility. Nigeria politicians have never willingly supported free and fair election. Never. Anytime elections have been a little bit fair, it has been extracted because of the combination of incentive structure. The electoral umpire has incentive to defeat the incumbent, and the opposition party have incentive, like what happened in 2015 when the North wanted to take back power, and the Northern guy who is strong enough to fight, Jega, who has been announced as a president, who is also largely honest, but not, in my view, if it was the other way around, and maybe Jonathan was a northerner and the South were the ones who want to unseat him, maybe Jega's courage and honesty would have kind of, restricted to some extent. But that's a counterfactual. He held out against the ruling party because there was strong incentive to, and there was strength, backup for him to do that, and he held out. So if you have that, and you have Again, people have been demoralized. I will argue that part of the low turnout relates to the crisis of confidence and value of the electoral reform itself, where in the last 2 weeks, Tinubu went ahead and signed, the House refused, and basically telling people your vote will not count. And you can see how there are no strong messaging for the opposition saying
excuse me, on the possibilities and I mean opportunities open to electoral riggers with Amopiton. Sir, looking at it, do you are you seeing and then you went further rather to also recommend that the only way is to have someone
and Tinubu pick his lawyer, pick a Yoruba Christian in election that he perhaps thinks he would confront a northern Muslim and maybe a Christian Igbo. So you can see the strong strategic thinking that went into it, his lawyer. And a lawyer who has no managerial experience, who has never worked in public sector, who doesn't even understand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, for that response. All right, to the banks.
All right. Thank you, host. Thank you, Dr. Sam Madi, for that robust analysis. I have two questions. The first one is about the process of nomination of the INEC chairman that you talked about. Isn't it also true that beyond the integrity of the INEC chairman himself, the process of collation could be part of the problem, where you have these sequenced layers, right, from the polling unit EC8A all the way to National Collation Center EC8E. So whatever magic, for the lack of a better word, might have gone on, could have gone on so many multiple levels, to the extent that by the time it gets to national, the INEC chairman can just still claim plausible deniability. So in the end, it doesn't necessarily mean that he actually did something, or maybe not. But because of the way those things are layered, it gives room for all kinds of rigging opportunities. What is your take on that? That's a first question. Then second question goes to, in light of this dire, morbid picture that you've just painted, what options, what recourse, if any, do we have as Nigerians as we look forward to 2027? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the first question, I say you're absolutely correct, and that's actually my argument, that the managerial complexity requires a higher bandwidth. The point you made, there are different sections, there are different areas elections can be rigged. First, they can be rigged when the ballot officers come to the place and begin to present their documents, their from this, from that, from that. Sometimes those, assuming the result has been signed elsewhere, and the agents are not careful, but when they finish voting and counting, they can substitute a different result, which happened in Edo in many cases, fake result, and collect it at the collection center. They can also get fake people to sign as agent for PDP ADC. So Mr. A, Sam Amadi is agent here, but the fake result they had prior to voting has Ebele Eko as agent. So the capacity to manipulate the system is a continuous one that you need to have. So the way it is designed, there are too many points of entry, points of exit, and points of entry, points of concern, that you have to have the capacity, the structure to, from as they're arriving, where's the paper, very almost like you're going to be a violent agent. You get everything, you document it, you sign it, you mirror it, you go to this point, you do the same thing, and you hope that when it gets to the public officials who need to collect lastly, that if there are any alteration, or look at some of the results declared, they have alterations, like people are discussing. So that means two things. One, we need to, if we had,
Is it just me, or can you still hear Dr. Amadi?
I think we lost Doctor. Doctor,
Okay.
if you can hear us, we lost you. Perhaps you got a call or the network. If it's the network, you have to reset. If it's just a call, we'll be waiting.
that's the first problem. So
Oh,
the second
Doctor, can
issue
you hear
is,
us?
yeah,
We lost you for a few seconds.
have you got me now?
Yeah, we have you back now, sir. Go ahead.
Oh boy, I think we lost him again.
Yeah,
Dr. Amadi, if you can hear us, we can't hear you anymore. Maybe he's getting a call. It's possible.
maybe. In the
Yeah.
meantime, let me announce to our listeners that while we are here live on X, we are also streaming live on YouTube this very conversation that we are having here. So if you know you have people who can only listen via the YouTube, please let them have
Can
that
you hear
link.
me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I was saying that yes, the answer to the first question is that the managerial challenge is too much. You need to simplify it, or have a strong counter managerial system to, change the outcome. The second question around, what's the second question again? I think.
So in light of your analysis of what happened yesterday and the entire situation of things, the electoral process, the elections, the conduct, and just everything that we witnessed yesterday, as we look towards 2027, is there any what is the recourse, if there's any, that you can give to Nigerians? Because it looks very dire, it looks
Yes,
very morbid, very discouraging at this point. Yes.
yes, absolutely correct. So what the Nigerians should do, it looks very dire. I agree with you totally. Two things. One, to 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 kind of to sit up and say, you know what, this is very daunting, but we want to face it. And then we need to understand. That's the point now. We should spend some time understanding this process to be able to overcome it. We will not be 100%, but we can overcome it significantly. That the rigging perhaps will not affect total outcome, or the rigging they will do will be faulted. So we have to fight at multiple levels. But then we must first agree with ourselves that we want to first understand the depth of the danger we confront, not naive, basically feel good something. No. Real sit down and say, we are faced with odds. Look at the history of Nigeria, look at the political economy, and begin to see the challenges and the difficulty of making change. The second point then is that if we don't have the energy to really do the hard work of first understanding and then designing counter strategies to overcome, then maybe we should just forget elections and look at other ways of resisting or strengthening accountability at local levels. The My view is that if Nigeria fails woefully in 2023, 2027 election, the prospect of free and fair election in Nigeria will be far-fetched. What we may have now be cynicism of our election, and people focus on how they can improve communities, improve lives, build resistance to and challenge. So after election, we start challenging those in power, but we don't really bother about getting them out of power because the election has been basically shambolic. So from a conceptual point of view, those are the two parts left for us: to intensify the fight, to better understand what's not working, and work hard to, and patiently to overcome it. I think the problem is that the election and the way the act has laid out the election process, there's too much fever. Who is the candidate? How do we win the election? How do we control the party structure? So that even the party leaders are not paying attention to, they have enough time to pay attention to the rigging machine. And they open the ruling party leverages on the state institutions that are there to help them win elections.
Thank you, Doctor. Host, so do you want to go to speakers now?
Yeah, we should go
Okay,
to the
great.
speakers right now. But before we go to the speakers, let's establish that thus far, uh, Dr. Sam Amadi has been able to establish on this conversation that elections are routinely rigged in Nigeria, and that the umpire are never prepared, are never ready. The political parties in opposition are never ready, for elections, even though we've been in different election circle since 1999. Well, that is some takes from the thought of Dr. Sam Amadi thus far on this conversation. So we're going to open the conversation to listen to our speakers that we have up here. So I don't know, Tudor, I'm not seeing the hands. If you do, please do establish the queue.
Yes, so Chief came first, Chief Cabal. Then we'll take Elvis, which is Peter Obi 2027, followed by Chief B in that order. So, Chief Cabal, please go ahead. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, active citizens. Thank you, Dr. Amadi. You're always a delight to watch on TV and listen to. I'm going to be very brief. I'm not going to repeat what the doctor have said. Tinubu, as a candidate, was able to rig himself in. Now he's the president. The only solution is for Nigerians to take their destinies in their hands. We need to restore Nigeria. Like the British are campaigning about restoring their country. We need to restore our country also. We need a minimum of 30 million Nigerians to hit the streets. You need to take over the National Assembly. You need to take over the entire Abuja. That's the only way, because there's nothing anybody's going to do with the structure of
Chief
criminality
Cabal, if you can hear me.
that they have.
Chief
Yeah, I
Cabal,
can
can
hear
you hear
you.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's actually a Q&A section. So are you? I'm trying to get if you're making a submission or you have a question for Dr. Sam.
I'm making a submission, a very brief one.
Oh, all right.
10, 20
If
seconds,
you
I'm
wrap
done.
up,
10,
because it's
20
a
seconds.
Q&A section. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I was just going to make a submission and give the space to someone else. We need to hit the streets. Minimum 30 million Nigerians in Abuja there. That's the solution. There is no other solution. No other. Thank you.
All right, Chief Kaba, for that admonition. Well, I cannot argue against that thought with all that Nigerians are currently witnessing in the hands of the current occupant of the Apex office, and also, current occupant of all political, government corridors of power across the country. Yeah, unfortunately. So who's going next, Tudor?
That would be Chief Peter. Peter will be 2027. Elvis.
Over to you, Tudor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you to the co-host Trudeau and to Active, who I don't know who it is, but it's a nice voice. Please permit me to just use 1 minute to introduce my question. Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi. My name is Elvis Chimos, actually. And as someone who has served 12 years in the Oslo House of Assembly for the Labour Party and in different elected posts in Norway, I find your analysis to be very correct. And it's my analysis of what has been happening since I started supporting the obedient movement in 2022. It's not a record science, because as you were speaking, I was thinking of how did we make the successes we did in 2023? How did we win the FTC, Lagos, Abia, even with the same kind of machineries and constraints you said about? In Lagos, we were able to beat back the thugs. It's one thing. It's because the obedient movement was able to bring out Nigerians in their millions. And you are correctly said, just to paraphrase you, the situation room of the so-called ADC is not about managing election. There is no structure on the ground. For those of us who have gone to election, one, been active in political parties that are active, the only way you win election is when you have structures, when you are organized, when you have a clear strategy for how to win, when you can even count the votes before they are counted. It's very, very clear. You have to be a structural fascist if you're in opposition. Structural fascist before you can win. And we see that these things are not. So the issue now is this. If there is no strategy from the ADC, what will you advise the obedient movement who have made P2B or nothing? Are we going to go back to the Labour Party? Or do we use our time for a long time stretch as an obedient movement who wants a change, who are reform minded, who are not seeking power just for power, but we want to change Nigeria? What will you advise the obedient movement to do? Because the way I look at it now, APC is not serious. They've had over a year. There is no timetable for anything. They are actually not doing anything. Even the so-called Atiku have to come out on an ad hoc basis because he's happy to be at, So it is a very depressing thing.
Yeah,
What will you advise the obedient movement going forward, sir?
thank you. I think it's very depressing. Even as I talk, I feel sad because you're right. The truth is, I think it's a difficult proposition. First, I think that the obedient, if we had known, again, the obedient family, the leadership is very passionate, very, very passionate people. But I think perhaps they are not the best of organizers, the best of leaders. Of course, you don't have everything in life all together. You have good people, they may not have all the capabilities. But what they should be doing is opening up to people to help them, people who can help. If we had organized Obedient Family on its own in the last two years, it would have been a very powerful. You see, the Obedient Family is supposed to be a movement within a party, just like MAGA, for those who forget whether I like Trump or not. But the one thing is that there are people who know what they stand for. So they are in a party, but they keep organizing, they keep messaging, they keep building because, and they take over the party. So even as a Labour Party, I don't want to blame anybody for the crisis. I mean, it's engineered, also contributed by our own failures. But we needed to have built that obedient movement. And it's not late. We need to build a obedient movement. And building it requires two things. And I'm always honest and straightforward. The people who are leading it should stretch beyond themselves. It's not a mutual admiration club. It's not a club for mutual. We are committed guys. We meet with P2B. No! There are people who are going to be part of that movement, who are going to lead it, who don't sit with P2B. And they probably don't care sitting with P2B. They just trust him and want him. So, and that starts with first understand strategic thinking. And then, there are some cases I see, maybe in the secret, people from abroad call me and said, I have an issue. I said, no, 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 no. Don't want to control. It's not about being politically relevant. If you watch what has happened in the US, or whether you look at Turning Point America or other structures, even the Democratic platform that brought Obama, the organizers are faceless people. They don't want to they don't always want to be. No, the strategists are behind building the structure. That is what we should do. Now, as to the question of ADC, the truth of the matter is that ADC is a contradicted platform, very contradicted. Um, are they going to be coherent as we build on? I doubt so. I think there could be conflict coming on because the people in the ADC, the leadership in ADC, the main factors there are few, if any, are really concerned about transformation of the country. They are concerned about power. They lost power. They want to gain back power.
Dr. Sam, I think we lost him again.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
we lost him. He'll be back. He'll be back. He was making some thought-provoking. He was making some thought-provoking. I mean, submission there, and he just left me thinking, Nigerians, that well, I'm going to be
I
asking.
think he's back. Active. He's
He's
back.
back. All right. I'm bringing him up right now. Thank you very much for the observation. All right. Sir, we have you back, and I already sent the mic. If you can see it, please accept so that we can have you back. So we're still waiting for him to get back to the speaker section. But in the meantime, uh, I'm going to ask him in addendum anyway. uh, Nigerians, we should have a chance. We should have a chance going into 2027. And I would love to know what chance Nigerians have going into 2027 against, all of this unpreparation. Lack of preparation, rather, forgive me, of the opposition, and of course, I wouldn't even call it lack of preparation by the umpire. I'll call it deliberate this thing, deliberate machinations by the umpire, because it's not that they can't prepare, because the fund is there and everything is available within their means, to achieve a successful process. But um oh, Doc, we already sent the mic to you, and I'm not seeing your request though. But we sent the
I was trying
aha.
to.
Welcome
I
back,
was
sir.
trying to. You are the one who I was asking to be native, but it wasn't good. Anyway, so just to conclude what I was saying, yeah, ask the question you talked about. So it might be that the level obedience should strategically consider again. I understand the attraction of going to AGC. We need to come together and maybe have more force, um, have more force to protect our votes and all that. But if this level of lack of coherence, lack of commitment and collaboration continues, then it might be better for bidders to go alone. That's my view. They go alone. They won the last time. Maybe revise their strategy, and maybe more Nigerians will be happy that they have shown courage and commitment to the ideas that start for. So it's a difficult thing to do, but you have to plan it well and think through it. As at now, the prognosis is not good. Hello.
Yeah, we are with you, sir.
So that's what I'm saying. As at now, the way things are going is not the best. The two problems with AGC. One, like I said, is reconciling all these guys and bring them together. The time for it came to a short towards primary that probably the primary might damage a lot of things. So we need to be very clear-minded to continue with ADC and hold back some of our idealism, or keep organizing away from ADC but be part of that coalition, and know that maybe at some time in the future you break out. We should have a long-term focus.
No,
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 sorry, Chief B,
no.
Chief B,
Chief
Chief B.
Beast. Yes. Why am I always, am I invisible? I greet everybody. Dr. Sam, thank you, and it's a privilege to be on the same space to be able to ask you questions. I really appreciate that. So my question will be, I mean, we all know that all kinds of bad things happen once the Form EC8A leaves the polling unit without being frozen, if I can use that word. Now the National Assembly has passed a law that creates a proviso that allows, the manual process to take hold if there's a network glitch. And INEC officers have expressed concerns that that proviso will become the norm if it's left unchecked. The question I'm about to ask is that what's really the hope here in terms of the INEC regulation because that's really the next level that we can look to see if there can be some clarity and some direction in terms of what exactly should be done at the polling unit to secure the vote and freeze the formiciate before it escapes to the registration area. In the light of the judgment of the Supreme Court in 2023 that literally trashed INEC regulation, versus the Electoral Act, do you think there's any merit in pushing INEC to sort of put a clarity around handling of results, in the polling unit? Is that going to be an effort in futility, or do you think there's any merit in pushing for that right now? Thank you.
All right, Dr. Madi, please go ahead. I think that was Chief B. I think you have a bad mic, but I hope you got the question.
Hello, are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, sir. Go ahead.
By the way, I have a meeting, so I'll be here for the next 20 minutes because I have to attend to. I'm on the Trust TV by 8 and Rise by 9. So I will leave you
Dr.
guys.
Sam, we are conscious of that. In fact, I was going to announce after this next question that we'll be wrapping up
Yes.
pretty soon because we would have to go.
Okay, so let me answer quickly. The part of the crisis we face before the new law is that the Supreme Court has wrongly thrown the status of the regulation into uncertainty when they said, well, it's partly because of INEC failure too. The Act provided INEC should gazette its law. Regulations, INEC never did that since 2014. Secondly, INEC has not also, instead of putting regulation different from guideline, they submerge all of them, maybe creating opportunity for mischief. Obviously, there was mischief intended. So what will happen now is that by this law, the electronic transmission has been recognized. But the problem is that it makes collection manual, and collection has always been manual. People don't understand what this means. What has always happened is that INEC has never had electronic collection. Collection, okay, clause 38 of the regulation that people rely on only talks about two things. One, or three things. First is that after voting and counting of votes and putting votes in the proper position, signing everything, you transmit straight to the INEC collection center. INEC collection center is electronic. Collection center is electronic. You post it there, then two, you post again to the IRF, which is, as the court says, a viewing center. Three, you collect manually. Now, clause 48 tells you the collection process and which one is superior. If there's a conflict between the manual and the electronic is superior. Where there's no result, maybe destroy whatever, the law requires, I think, section 94 says you collect the work of the police officer, the DSS, and the parties, and from there you recreate the result. So the provision is clear. The reason why I have the IRF is that real-time transmission now becomes a check and balance, a check on the tendency to mutilate or alter results. Because that one up there, anybody can view it and say. So if you do a real time, people can actually conclude on who won the election before the collection gets there, because all the polling units have been. So from their own social room, they calculate the votes, know how much they need to win the election, and they even know when they have won, whether the results are all in or not. That's why that IRF is important. IRF is to avoid the situation that happened where some people commandeer return officers to give them results, maybe under duress. So you collect at three levels. One, electronic, which is the server, the BVAS, that when you're going to court, that's where the INEC officials go and download and notarize for you the result. Two, IREF, which everybody sees. The other one is back end. IREF, which people view. So what you're viewing ought to be the same as what is in the collation center, collation system, they called it, INEC. Three, the manual collation happen at various hierarchs, area, disease, world levels. So the idea here is, that's why I said, if you have your agents and they're active, then that's all they had, and it's uploaded electronically. People are viewing it, so they can now, at the collection center, challenge the result being brought. And the minimum is that there should be a viewing portal at every collection center. So the collection officer will key in and see that the result is being asked to take is different from the one on the platform. Technically speaking, none of these things have changed. What has changed is that instead of them being pushed as the only option, the court, the house now says, oh, you can now, provided that manual results can be collected, or where there is no more, you can claim. So they've created an escape where people will not upload that check, and so, oh, we didn't have a system, and then they bring the one, and then even if the correction officer is a good man who wants to do that, he has no more reference point to cross-check result. So that's the problem we're in now. So that problem requires a different mode. Now, as to whether INEC can navigate against this through rulemaking power, yes. But I intend to go to court on this to see if we can push. But the problem is that which INEC are they willing to go against? Is INEC looking for a soft way that they can
my question is just, where are the people of value that will lead the next generation in Nigeria? Because Nigeria is failing.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you.
take another one.
Okay. Abiodun, please go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Amadi, for gracing us with your presence tonight. My question is brief, really. So the Supreme Court, in their last judgment, said credibility of an election is polling unit specific. So my question is, why doesn't the Act explicitly define and mandate a method of authenticating polling unit results, considering that the Supreme Court emphatically expressed that credibility of an election is polling unit specific? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that again. So why did the Supreme Court do what? Hello?
Okay, so
Abiodun, if
let me
you would
repeat the
be more
question.
audible with your question.
Okay. So my question is, one of the core essence of the Supreme Court judgment in the last election was that the credibility of the election is polling unit specific.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my concern is, given that the Supreme Court had said this, why is the Act, the Electoral Act, why does the Electoral not have specific defined and mandated method of authenticating polling unit results?
Sorry, what doesn't it have, or what does it have?
Why doesn't it have a specific
okay.
method of
Authenticating results.
results at the polling
At
units,
the
since
polling
the Supreme
unit.
Court?
All right.
Okay.
Yes, since I think
Okay.
this is a very important question. Please, Dr. Amadi can clarify that, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll let him take a stab at it. Final question will be, I think Elvis, right? I think
Yeah.
Elvis has a follow-up question. So let's take Elvis and Chief UC together. If Elvis is there. Elvis, are you
All
there?
right. Yeah. Elvis, please briefly, your follow-up question, then we'll come to you.
And then and that will be the final question. Yeah.
My follow-up question, Dr. Sam Amadi, I'm very glad when you spoke about the obedient movement, you described yourself as an obedient. Please, let's be sincere. Do you think the structure we have in the obedient movement today and the leadership of the obedient movement is what can take us to 2027? I would like to hear that from you, please, sir.
All right. Thank you, Elvis. So you see the final question.
Okay, Biko, call me later. I'm in the zoo.
Chief UC as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Doctor. It's a pleasure to be here. So my question is this: with your background in law and experience in politics, we have seen a lot of shortcomings in terms of proving problems with an election in the courts. I want to know, what are your views with the clamors for Electoral Act amendments without visiting the Evidence Act? This is in terms of proving fraud, for instance, forgery, ballot stuffing. So when you need to prove
is fit for purpose. I think they are committed guys, strong guys, but I think they need to change a lot. I think they need to change a lot. We need to change a lot. We need to also look at how to reinforce as a movement, and also agree to build structure. Agree to build structure. So let me leave it at that. Let's do that. So it's important. Uh, it's very important that we do that and do that very well. So that you build a structure, you build a movement, not just. So that's what I'm saying. Again, back to the question around the earlier question around what I think should be done now in terms of the obedient movement. I think, like I said, we need to strategize and build for the long term as well as now. So the other question is, do we think with the way they are obedient, the obedience as they are now may not be in a position to win election and defend that vote. Of course, they may win with or without opposition. People will want to go out, but that's the time for the obedient to build that structure. But that calls for sacrifice and self. Forget self. Look for people. Open the system so that people can participate. It's not a branding of few individuals. It should be a national movement with real leaders who oftentimes are behind. They don't need to be moving with P2P. Those are the face. The people behind who should be working and building the structure and doing communication and identifying talents and marshalling them out should be there. So that's what I would say for now. I want to run and get ready for my 8 o'clock show. So thank you so much. If I miss out something, we can go offline and discuss more.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, for at all, giving us time out of no time. Sparing us this 2 hours. It's really much appreciated. We thank you for your thoughts and your reaction to the questions that were asked by all our speakers. Yeah, Active Citizens Media is very grateful for your time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And guys, Dr. Sam Amadi will be going live on Arise television very soon. I think we should
Yeah,
take
it's by
our time.
9. I'm going online, but I have Trust TV for 8. So Arise 9. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay. You see
Thank
the
you.
work rate. Trust TV now and Arise for 9. Let's make it a date with him on Arise at 9 p.m. West African time. Yeah, this is Active Citizens Media Platform. Remember, we promised that every time that we host, we are going to be bringing you exclusive from persons who have grasp and who's got perspective of these our social political issues as it concerns us in real time. All right, that was uh, Dr. Sam Amadi. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Dr. Moses Paul to join us on this conversation, but let me promise you that next week, again on Sunday, we will be hosting. Now we're having a pattern. Last week Sunday we were here. Next week Sunday we will be here. I can't tell you who the guest will be, but I promise that we will not disappoint you with the guest we'll be bringing next week. That will be seated here with us to look at these issues. All right. Yeah, I don't know. What should we do, Tudobam? Should we take reactions from the speakers that we have up here and then we call it a day?
Yeah, that would be a great idea. Let's do that.
All right, let's take the reaction from speakers that are yet to speak at all. That didn't speak at all. Sorry, while Doctor was here.
Or we can just let those who starting with those who ask questions. Let's take turns and see. Sometimes some of these questions, people have opinions behind them, and these are all loaded questions, by the way. With the one UC Maxwell asked, with the one Abiodun asked, and of course Elvis. In fact, Chief Cabal talking about the mass protest, that was a good one. Happily as well. I felt the passion in his voice. Talking about where are the good people, So Chief B as well. His question was awesome. So let's just have a conversation around. These are all loaded questions. And it's not like we don't have the answer per se, but but we can have a
At the
conversation
least,
around it.
react to those candid thoughts that Dr. Sam Amadi gave on those
Absolutely.
questions. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and then Tony's coming up. Pull Tony up.
Yeah, I'm doing that right
Tony's
away.
requesting.
All right. So let's let's be time conscious. We're going to just do this within 30 minutes, and we would call it a wrap. So who's going? Let's take who asked the last question? You see, right?
Do you
Yeah,
know
I
if
did.
Tony has any? I don't know if Tony has any information for us or something.
All right. Okay, Tony.
Yeah.
No, not really. I don't have an update for you regarding Dr. Mo. Jagun already
Okay.
addressed that. Yes,
Okay.
I actually came up to ask a question or to complement something Peter will be 2027, I believe, that he said. But I will stay in line and wait until called up to bring up my thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Chief, you see Maxwell.
Jagun, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Tudo. Thank you very much, Tony. Chief, you see Maxwell, please.
Yeah, good evening to you guys. Thank you very much for bringing me up here to ask my question. You see, there are a lot of issues as it relates to the elections, as it relates to the 2027 general election, as it relates to the judiciary and electoral reform. And my question was very deliberate. A lot of people have not paid attention to what the Evidence Act portends in line with the Electoral Act. You see, one of the major problems when you get to an election petition tribunal is proof, and that is largely within the ambits of evidence, the Evidence Act. And yes, they say that election petitions are sui generis, that is, they are of their own kind, and they are usually given a special flavor, a special treatment. The truth is, we have left the courtrooms after election without justice. We have left the courtroom believing that there was bias either on the side of the person that was declared winner before they went to court or by the judges, pitiable to say. Now, when you see people go into the courtroom with loads of evidence and the rest, and they are dumped on the court, I don't want to even use the word dump, and they are presented to the court, but this evidence, because of the manner of, or because of the laws on admissibility, they cannot be weighed, they cannot be assessed, they cannot be viewed, no judgment can come from them. So we have a problem in that regard. Now, let me just do a quick symbiosis before I hand over. I know that this wants to be done in the next 30 minutes so that I don't speak for long. When you look at the 2023 general elections, there were a lot of documentary evidence that was brought before the court. INEC, the petitioners, Peter Obi, Atiku, had made a request from the court for a subpoena and several others requesting that INEC release certain documents to them. This was not done. For the little that was done, it was not done within time. Now, there is a problem with this because an individual who is contesting an election cannot bring these documents to court without INEC certification. That is, as certified through copies from INEC. And INEC, who have been instructed to provide these documents, are defiant, majorly because they are already supporting the people they have declared winner. So there is a law that needs to be changed. Some of the amendments that are being done does not affect the timing. And I've said this over and over again. You don't swear in a person and begin to contest their election. It is insane to think about, because every governmental mechanism will be put in motion to ensure that that result does not change. So these are just my views. Let me not keep talking. I believe that I also want to even hear other people talk. But there is a lot when we talk about electoral reforms that we must pay attention to, not just the Electoral Act. The Constitution needs to be focused on, the Evidence Act needs to be focused on, very, very important, and of course, previous judgments of the court. Thank you very much. We saw what happened in
Maxwell, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
So from what you just explained, real quick, before we move on, and from what Dr. Madi said, it seems to me the evidence threshold, for just ordinary, regular cases, criminal, whatever, is completely different or even higher when it comes to election arbitrations. So it's like the bar is lower. Is that what I'm hearing? Help
Well,
me here.
not yeah, I get your question. Now, not really that the bar is lower. There are some limitations that have led to the applicability of the Evidence Act due to the Electoral Act. So, by certain provisions of the Electoral Act, the Evidence Act is limited. Yes, they will tell you, and you see, we need to go, if we claim that the election petition is sui generis, we need to modify evidence. It must not be strictly the Evidence Act, and it cannot be strictly the Electoral Act. I'll give you an instance. You state that crimes must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. But in previous judgments of court, we've seen where they have had to drop that because the Evidence Act is saying that, yes, you must prove crime beyond reasonable doubt. But when it comes to election jurisprudence, election petition, there needs to be a revisit. So there are limitations as a result of provisions in the Electoral Act. For instance, who determines what is substantial compliance? And Evidence Act allows you to an extent to supply secondary documents. But there are so many limitations as to supplying documents when it comes to election petition, because those documents must be obtained from INEC. So these are other things and other areas that, the searchlight on evidence, applicability of the Evidence Act on yes, the Evidence Act applies in election cases, but there are certain provisions in the Electoral Act that limits the way that it is viewed or the way its applicability is considered. So that's it.